guys have a really interesting vantage point into things like consumer spending and fintech apps. You shared some data. I want to point to one stat in particular, a 300% rise in the amount of people using investing apps. Is that type of growth sustainable in a post-COVID world?
So, over the past decade, we've seen a massive shift in financial services. We've gone from banks being something that people interact with primarily in a branch to now these days, especially with people stuck at home, banks being something that people interact with fully digitally. When you look across the financial ecosystem, particularly the digital financial applications, they've grown so incredibly quickly over the kind of Q2 and now early Q3. FinTech in Q2 saw a 50% increase in users versus the last year. Investing applications saw a 300% increase. Other sectors down a little bit slower, so things like consumer lending and business as well. But on the whole, we've seen a shift towards digital of consumers now that can no longer walk into a bank branch, that for the first time are saying, I need to download this application in order to do something in my financial life, and I expect that that's going to stay.
And you guys have grown really along with these fintech apps since you founded the company in 2013. We mentioned the Visa deal off the top. Why go with a strategic or a corporate partner versus growing to the level of, you think of Stripe, for example, $36 billion valuation. Why go with Visa versus growing independently and maybe potentially going for an IPO?
So the first thing, the primary thing that we think about as Plaid is how do we serve consumers? Our goal here is to make money easier for everyone, to help consumers live better financial lives by giving access to the digital financial products that they need. And through having this access, increasing the quality of product that they're getting, increasing making the rates better, so on and so forth. So our first and primary priority is towards the consumer. When we think about Visa, we've long been inspired by Visa, a storied company, so much to learn from them. And as we think about growing more quickly over the coming decades to come, we really are excited to have access to the scale, the breadth of Visa to help us kind of expand internationally, to help us kind of deepen our relationship with consumers, so on and so forth. There's so much the two companies can do together.
Zach, it's interesting. It's Deirdre, by the way. It's interesting that you say you have so much to learn from Visa. I'm reminded of Jamie Dimon, who said a few years ago that Square had innovated where JP Morgan hadn't. Al Kelly said that Visa was slow out the chute when it came to fintechs. So why do you think traditional players, payments companies and lenders, they can't make these innovative fintech products themselves? Do you think that the strategy of acquiring startups who can will continue?
So one of the interesting things that we've actually seen across all of financial services, and when we look at the last downturn and we look at today, in 2008, banks were largely not digital. They were really reliant on those branches. Today, we actually see banks as being primarily technology companies. You hear Jamie Dimon saying things around the massive investment that they've made in technology. Now, there's a lot more they can do faster. There's a lot more for us to evolve. There's a lot better ways for us to serve consumers going forward. But we've seen an increasing amount of partnerships between digital financial applications and these banks themselves, the more traditional finance. So that's come in the form of partnerships, yes, in the form of acquisitions as well. But I expect that this trend is going to be one that perpetuates and one that really continues over the coming years to come.
And Zach, how do you continue to keep Plaid's culture when the Visa acquisition, does go through? Are you concerned about that at all? There have been some missteps, among other consolidation in this industry.
So this is one of the things that I love talking about, and I spend so much time inside the company discussing with the people that we hire. I think culture starts with hiring fantastic people, hiring them according to a set of principles or a set of values, and then ensuring that you have the proper communications and ways to allow these individuals to grow. So it starts with the people, and you really have to scale that. From the Visa perspective, I've actually been really inspired as I've read over their principles, their core values. There's so much overlap with the ways that we think about growing Plaid. And now, post-acquisition, things are definitely going to change. But I think they're going to change for the better. And I think they're going to change in a way that when we look back in a few years, we're going to say that was an inflection point for the company, but a really positive one.